All right, good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this village board meeting to order on Monday, December 16, 2024, and ask you if you would all please rise and join the village board in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Baldino.
Here.
Trustee Dunnington.
Here.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Here.
Trustee Bertucci.
Here.
Trustee Tinaglia.
Here.
Trustee Grasse. Trustee LaBedz.
Here.
Trustee Shirley.
Here.
President Hayes.
Here. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes, and we just have one set to approve tonight. That's from our village board meeting of December 2nd, 2024. Any changes or passes? If not, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Yes.
Passed by Trustee Bertucci.
Correct. Move approval.
Second.
It was Trustee Tinaglia.
Yes.
Motion by Trustee Tinaglia, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Next, we have the approval of the accounts payable, and I call on Trustee Bertucci.
Mayor, I move approval of the warrant register for the check date 12/15/2024 in the amount of $3,297,296.40.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Bertucci, seconded by Trustee Schwingbeck. Questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience? Roll call.
Trustee Bertucci.
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz.
Yes.
Trustee Baldino.
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington.
Yes.
Trustee Shirley.
Yes.
Trustee Tinaglia.
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. There are no recognitions or communications tonight, so we'll move on to citizens to be heard. And I do have some blue cards, but I think they're all on an agenda item. So is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the board on items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close citizens to be heard and move on to the consent agenda. Any members of the board wish to remove an item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, any members of the audience wish to request that an item be removed from the consent agenda? Seeing none, are there any members of the board who wish to vote no or pass on any item on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Move approval.
Second.
Motion by Trustee Tinaglia, seconded by Trustee LaBedz. Any questions or comments from the board? Anything from the audience on the consent agenda items? Seeing none, roll call.
Trustee Tinaglia.
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz.
Yes.
Trustee Shirley.
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci.
Yes.
Trustee Baldino.
Yes.
Trustee Dunnington.
Yes.
President Hayes.
Yes. Yeah, the items that were on the committee of the whole agenda, the liquor license, were approved under the consent agenda, and so no need for those individuals to stay. Your item has now been formally approved. So good luck to you, and welcome. All right, we'll move on then to new business, and we just have one item to consider tonight. That's an ordinance opting school districts and park districts out of the Cook County paid leave ordinance. So I'll turn it over to our village manager, Randy Recklaus.
Thank you, Mayor. If you recall, last November, this was something that the board had a discussion on, and that was that the state of Illinois passed the Paid Leave for All Act back in 2023, for it to go into effect on January 1st of 2024. The act required employers to provide a bank of 40 hours of paid leave that they can use without stated reason and without notice. At the time when that law was written, park districts and school districts were specifically exempted by the act at the state level. The manner of the approval allowed home rule municipalities to opt out as long as they did so by January 1st of 2024, so they could set their own rules for unpaid leave for their organizations and communities. After some discussion, the village board opted out of the regulations at the November 20th, 2023 board meeting. The village already provides more than 40 hours of paid leave to our full-time employees. And we at that time argued, and the board supported, that the lack of notice requirements would be detrimental to the 24/7 nature of the village's operation. And so that ordinance passed 5-3. The village did not exempt local businesses or other organizations from the act. We let that part of the act stand. We simply exempted the village government. Local businesses and some governments, such as the library, are now subject to the state act. Around that same time, in the area, the villages of Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove, Palatine, Hoffman Estates, and Schaumburg, they opted municipal employees as well as all businesses and organizations within their community out of the act. Elk Grove, Rolling Meadows, and Wheeling did the same as we did, where they opted their village, city government out of the act, but not businesses. Again, that deadline for opting folks out of the state act passed on January 1, 2024. A little background before we get into what we're talking about today. Home rule governments may opt out of this act or pass their own rules. Cook County is the only home rule county in the state. There are a number of home rule municipalities, including Arlington Heights. The county cannot overrule the village's home rule authority. We're both co-equal home rule entities. The county's ordinance only applies to items not specifically covered by the village's ordinance. So this year, the county passed an amended paid leave ordinance that applies the new state rules to school and park districts within Cook County. And these were entities that were previously exempted from the state version. The village has received requests from the following agencies to pass an ordinance to exempt them from the new county ordinance. And so that's the Arlington Heights Park District, School District 214, 21, 25, 59, and the Salt Creek Park District. In a nutshell, and we did provide letters to the board on these items. The school district objections included the imbalance created with the existing collective bargaining agreements that they have, given the generous paid leave benefits already given to staff and the operational needs of the schools. The park district objections included noting the unique seasonal nature of park district work and the added cost, which is expected to be between $200,000 and $300,000 per year for the Arlington Heights Park District. In both groups noted the disparity between these requirements and those of nearby communities who already opted out based on how they opted out of the state law. As noted, home rule communities can determine if the county ordinance will apply, just like we determined whether or not the state ordinance would apply. So those school and park districts in Mount Prospect, Buffalo Grove, Palatine, Hoffman Estates, and Schaumburg are all already exempted from the Cook County ordinance, as they did that last year. Rolling Meadows, Elk Grove, and Wheeling, all three of them are all considering using their home rule authority within the next few days on exempting schools and parks. And again, we have the authority to exempt schools and parks if we so choose, and that this would allow them to choose how to handle paid leave on their own. From a staff perspective, upon looking at the issues, given the patchwork of opt-outs within suburban Cook County and the desire to provide local agencies the same operational flexibility they're afforded under state law, staff recommends the approval of the ordinance to exempt school and park districts within Arlington Heights from the provisions of the Cook County paid leave ordinance. And so we would recommend approval of an ordinance opting school districts and park districts out of the Cook County paid leave ordinance. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ecklaus. Before we move on, I want to just make sure that the liquor license applicants, make sure they know they don't need to stay. Unless you want to talk about paid leave. All right, thank you. All right, well, I obviously have read the materials, very familiar with this, and I do appreciate the requests of the Park District and our local school districts, and so I am definitely in support of the staff recommendation. I think it makes a lot of sense for us to defer to them in this as well. So any other questions or comments from the board? Trustee Shirley.
Just Randy, when did we decide, or who decided, like, that we weren't going to proceed with exempting all businesses like several of these other communities did? How are we deciding that these governmental agencies, so to speak, are different than all the businesses? And kind of give me some background how we ended up here, but not doing the full all businesses.
So around the time that this issue came up last year, I spoke with individual trustees that kind of gauged the interest in going that route. At the time, too, our village attorney had suggested that it was more questionable to exempt out businesses. There was less comfort in doing that last year in terms of the state act. And so based on that discussion and based on the analysis, there wasn't support of a majority of the board to proceed with that. As you saw from the vote, there was a 5-3 majority in favor of opting just the village out. And so there would have been a couple of more votes lost had we attempted to go with the businesses as well.
Well, just for the record, I would support us opting all businesses out, but I'm not going to make a substitute motion or anything to that effect.
Okay.
I'll trust your straw poll and the information you have regarding that and the lack of support for that, but I just think that when somebody is employed by someone, they make a deal with their employer. And if they don't like the terms of the employment as far as leave requirements and notifications or anything like that, they don't have to sign up for that job. They can, and if they don't like it, they can get a different job. I mean, I just don't think that government should have a place getting in between employers and employees like on issues like this. I think benefits are something that are negotiated by employees, and it should stay that way. So that's all. I'll pass.
Okay, trustee Tinaglia.
Thanks, Mayor Hayes. And Randy, in the same vein as that, what would prevent, or is there an opportunity to some point down the road open this discussion up again, or is there a window when this closes?
So my understanding is, and the village attorney can correct me if I'm wrong, that the window to exempt businesses from the state law has now passed, that had to be done by January 1st. Or you can jump in if I'm.
No, the window for non-home rule communities was by the end of last year. Arlington Heights being home rule, this has not been tested to my knowledge, but the prevailing wisdom among my law firm and other municipal attorneys is that home rule can opt in or out as it so chooses. So that the time sensitive issue at this moment is that because of the change in the county ordinance, if action is not taken. This is our last meeting of the year, as the board knows. So if the board desires to opt schools and parks out, to do so tonight ensures that it's done by January 1st. Otherwise, they'll have to start complying with the county ordinance as of January 1.
Right. I'm aware of that, excuse me, and I just was thinking along the lines of Trustee Shirley, if some point next year this wanted to be another dialogue, it could happen, and there wouldn't be any necessary consequences to that.
Correct, and if that's something the board wants staff to do some research on, we certainly can. It's it's a board prerogative.
But for tonight, we're talking about the schools and
Correct.
the library, and that's good. I'm fully in favor of this and prepared to make a motion anytime.
Right, well, we're not talking about the library,
I meant the schools in the park district.
right?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay,
The libraries are already out.
right.
No,
Everybody's out
library is not exempted from the rules.
Yeah, it's the school districts that were mentioned and the park district.
Correct.
Right. Okay, trustee LaBedz.
Thank you. Do we know, and maybe our commissioner who is here in the audience would be able to help, why did the county decide they needed to do this when there already was a state law? That's one of the things that, since it seems to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the only major change is now in Cook County that would now affect the schools and the parks, because the businesses were already under the state law. And so
I know we have our Cook County Commissioner here this evening. I would defer to him on being able to interpret the county's will on that,
Yeah,
on that
and
matter.
Commissioner Britton did ask to speak under this agenda item. So Scott, if you come forward, why don't you go ahead and make your remarks right now? And if you could answer trustee LaBedz's question at the same time.
Absolutely. And I'll give my whole spiel in one fell swoop, and so we can get out of here if you want to watch the Bears game. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. I always get a little more comfortable when I'm at village board meetings, having been a trustee in Glenview for 12 years and a school board member before that. This is kind of my bailiwick. I'm the only Cook County Commissioner who comes from a municipal background. And so that's maybe why I'm here, because I am in a very unusual circumstance when I'm going to stand before this board and ask you to opt out of an ordinance of the County of Cook. It is particularly strange because it was an ordinance that came from my committee, of which I am the chair. And I can tell you, just to address the trustee's question and a little bit of inside baseball, the original ordinance that was passed by the county and was proposed to my committee basically mirrored the state law, including exempting schools and parks. There were some other minor differences, and council could also talk about these a little bit. Our Department of Ethics and Human Rights would be able to enforce some of these provisions, but basically it was a duplicate, which I thought was perfectly fine because I support the private employer provision of the Paid Leave Act. I think it makes sense. What happened was certain of our commissioners exempted the parks and the schools in a last-minute change to the ordinance without informing anyone, including the chairman of the committee who stands before you now. I can tell you that is not good government. It is also something that did not make me very happy, and I can tell the trustees that I shared my displeasure with my colleagues. At the same time, I was able to obtain an extension of a year so that the schools and parks could take a look at this and try to find a way that we could address it. And by the way, not a single hearing was held by the county to address the issues of our school districts and our park districts. They simply were informed of it after it was passed. I then brought another ordinance to exempt the schools and parks, which was defeated. I couldn't get 9 votes. The reason why was that there were very strong special interests that wished this particular ordinance to include schools and parks. Interestingly, one of the special interests that did not care for this ordinance were the teachers' unions. Not one of them reached out to me, people who I know quite well, to say we wanted this because teachers are covered by collective bargaining agreements. They already have paid time off, and they knew that their membership would more than likely be affected by this in a negative way because of the huge budgetary impact of giving potentially substitute teachers, part-time employees, seasonal employees of a park district like lifeguards, paid time off. It creates an enormous problem. We can't find substitute teachers as it is. And now we're going to have people taking even more time off who, and I come from a family of educators, they get 3 months in the summer. There are reasons why it doesn't work for schools and parks. And so, and your village manager who has described this, I think, very, very well, it is a classic unfunded mandate. For the schools and the parks, it is hundreds of thousands of dollars to budgets that they cannot afford. And I represent, a very large part of Arlington Heights. I'm proud to have done that for the last 6 years. I also understand that our communities in my district, which is the 14th district, which is almost all the north and northwest suburbs, we have an abundance of riches where we are. But the people who are going to be hurt by this, trustees and Mr. Mayor, are those small districts, park districts and school districts in the southern suburbs of Cook County who are not home rule, who cannot opt out, and who are going to be subject to this ordinance. Communities like Prospect Heights in my district will not be able to opt out. And so they will be subject to this as to their schools and parks, a classic unfunded mandate that's going to have enormous impact on their finances. It is unfair, it is bad government, and it is something that I have taken, this is my 4th meeting. In addition to the communities that you've listed, Northbrook and Glenview, my hometown, have also opted out. Now, I can't do anything for those southern suburbs. I wish I could. It is unfair to them. I can't do anything for Kenilworth, although I think they'll be okay. But I definitely think I can do something for Arlington Heights and urge you to opt out for the schools and the parks for the very reason the state of Illinois did so and the governor supported it, because it doesn't make sense for those particular government entities to have this type of paid leave, considering the other benefits that are negotiated by the unions and by the employees of those districts. And I'll leave you with this last thought. I just wanted to say a personal thank you to the mayor for the partnership we've had for the last 6 years. I've been privileged to represent Arlington Heights, will continue to do so. I also know that you have the ability under your home rule authority to do what's right for our schools and our parks. I'm a superintendent's kid. I know what it's like running a school district. It is incredibly important that we take care of them in this regard, and I would urge you to opt out of that particular part of the provision of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thanks, Commissioner Britton, and thank you not only for being here, for all the great work you do for our shared constituents. and so we appreciate it. Trustee LaBedz, you still have the floor. Does that answer your question?
It does, and I thank you very much, Commissioner Britton, for letting us know what transpired, because it seemed to me the way the state law was set up made sense. I'm also concerned, and I do support the opt-out, because I'm concerned about the effect it would have on our children, whether in the schools or whether in the parks, because it would be, as you said, you know, you have difficulty already with filling substitute teachers. It kind of, you know, boggles my mind. And again, like I said in the beginning, was, well, the state already had it set up this way. Why do we change it? So thank you very much, and I conclude.
Okay, other questions of Trustee Dunnington?
Thank you, Mayor. I am going to recuse myself from this discussion and the vote since I'm currently working in District 25, and it involves that school district.
Okay. Any other comments or questions from the board? Trustee Bertucci, go ahead.
I'm very much in support of this, but Randy, I just have one question, and that refers to not only what we're doing here, and is there anything about businesses being able to be opt-out in this Cook County, like we had talked about at the state level?
No, Cook County does not say anything that for them, they're not opting businesses out.
Okay.
And so, no, this is the only thing that we can see that it does kind of measurably is it brings the parks and the schools back in. But it does not impact, if we want to, based on what the village attorney said too, if we choose to opt out our businesses in a later discussion, we still retain the authority to do so. The county cannot take an action to preempt or undo home rule authority within the village of Arlington Heights.
Okay, that's all fine. And I would also be interested in, and it may be opportune since we know for sure there's going to be, I think, at least 3 new members of the board after the next election, so.
Trustee Schwingbeck.
Thank you, Mayor. Randy, over the last little over a year, have you received any phone calls from any of our businesses indicating that this was an issue?
No, this wasn't something that was raised as an issue for businesses. Interestingly enough, I had one today that came up, but no, we did get a good number of phone calls from the various the 2 park districts and the various school districts over the last several weeks that precipitated this, but no, it hasn't been a big topic.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, Trustee Shirley, did you have something?
Yeah, just to add on to my position is just to say that I think Commissioner Britton made my point regarding businesses is that Amazon doesn't care about this. They'll manage. But Lupe's Taco Shop can get burned by this. Yeah. So, you know, he made the case for smaller school districts or whatever that aren't going to be able to handle this like a Kenilworth can, for example. But we have to keep in mind that the businesses that we have this possibility of helping in this regard, my words, they're not just the Amazons and the rich businesses we're thinking about. They're little coffee shops. They're little 5-person businesses that may not even be aware of this. That's why you haven't heard from them, or they don't have the, they don't have the staff to express their opinion about it. So it's just something to think about going forward. It's not about the big, rich corporations that we're protecting people from. There's also small business owners that, operate on a shoestring, and that this could impact negatively within our town. So that's all.
Okay. I do have some blue cards from entities that are directly interested in this. First is from our own Park District, Mary Fran Lano. Welcome, Mary Fran.
Park District's calling in the big guns.
Hey, be nice. Well, I'm Mary Fran Leno, the president of the Arlington Heights Park District Board of Commissioners. Thank you for letting us come here tonight. We appreciate it on behalf of the Park District, the Village Board, really taking a look at this. Our executive director, Carrie Fullerton, has been in a lot of discussions with our village manager, and she has also been working with Commissioner Scott Britton from the county board over the last year. She has gone down to the county board and made 2 presentations there trying to get this to go ahead and pass at the county level, and that was unsuccessful. There were many park districts that went down. As was mentioned, if we do not opt out of this, or if you choose not to, it will cost us about $250,000 to $300,000 a year. It's not just our lifeguards, it's our day camp counselors, it's the people who are CAP, our before and after school care program, leisure buddies from our Special Recreation Association. When our part-time staff decide not to come in, we will have to find someone else to fill in if that person is even available, which typically they are not. So, this is just bringing us back to the same playing field that the whole entire state is on right now. I personally work in DuPage County for another park district. We do not have to deal with this because we're not in Cook County, and we're just, right across Devon Road in Itasca. So it's everywhere around us. So this will really help the Arlington Heights Park District out severely for you to move forward with this. And the last thing I will say, also as a resident here, I would support this village board taking a look at it for the rest of the businesses that are in Arlington Heights. As the Park District, we belong to 2 of the biggest associations in the state of Illinois, the Illinois Association of Park Districts and our Park District Risk Management Association. So the moment that this was being talked about or it went into act, we were notified afterwards, and so we are collectively 150 park districts working together. So that's how we're aware of it. I don't think many of these small businesses, they're not going to get a notice in the mail from the county saying, hey, this starts on January 1st. Do you know you're supposed to be putting 40 hours apart and aside for your part-time employees? Maybe the larger businesses do, but not the smaller ones. So I would urge this board to really take a look at that also in the future. But again, on behalf of the Park District, we really hope this moves forward for our entity and also the school districts as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary Fran. Next is Greg Scapolato from District 25. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you, Mayor Hayes and trustees. And I'm here to speak to you as president of the District 25 Board of Education. And with me tonight are Board Vice President, Dr. Anisha Jogi, and Superintendent, Dr. Brian Kay. And, Commissioner Britton really explained well what's under consideration here. So I just want to give you a perspective from District 25's view. So this exemption is of critical importance to our students, families, and the taxpayers we serve. The ordinance, as Commissioner Britton says, is an unfunded mandate. Its scope is sweeping, creating a new extraordinary benefit for all our employees, regardless of existing paid leave found in negotiated agreements provided by school code or already offered by the district. In financial terms, we estimate the cost of negotiating the impact of the ordinance with our collective bargaining units could cost us up to $500,000 a year. This does not include the significant operational overhead necessary to track guest teacher hours to satisfy the ordinance. Most importantly, the ordinance would inevitably impact our students, their learning, and their safety. It would create a negative spiral of issues as staff absences increase, with an existing pool of guest teachers already insufficient and spread too thin to adequately cover our needs. Ultimately, it's our students and families who will bear the cost as instructional time is reduced, supports become constrained, and reduced supervision impacts safety. In District 25, our Board of Education and our Superintendent, Dr. Brian Kay, we take pride in taking care of our employees. One of the key goals in our strategic plan is to attract and retain a diverse, high-quality, and innovative workforce. We recognize the need for paid leave, and we've developed policies that balance our employees' needs with the need to provide for the education and safety of our students. District 25 employees are not lacking in opportunities to take personal time, vacation, family events, or to take care of medical issues. So thank you for your attention this evening to this critical issue for our school district and for your continued service to our community.
Thanks, Greg.
Thanks.
And next is Arlen Gould from District 21. Welcome, Arlen.
Welcome. First, if I can, I want to thank the board for all of your hard work all year. On behalf of the people of Arlington Heights, we appreciate that. I also want to thank Scott Britton. He has fought this battle. We know it. We've worked with you, our staff has. And this is a killer. This is as though Cook County is telling the FAA how to route planes out of O'Hare. That's the simile. This would cost District 21 anywhere from $700,000 to $1 million a year. It is unheard of. We have contractual agreements with our staff that we negotiate in their best interest and the best interest of our students. And what I mean by that is it's been referred to the lack of substitute teachers. And that is an issue everywhere, and this will just exacerbate it. So you're hearing from a lot of bigger experts than I am. I'm happy to be here on behalf of District 21, but thank you for everybody's support, and thank you, Scott, for your help on this. We really appreciate it. At least I'm applauding. Thank you very much.
All right. All right, anyone else in the audience wish to address the board on this agenda item? Okay, RG, just give us your name if you would.
Hello, my name is RG Karafotias. I didn't have anything ready, but I saw that the board have some of you supporting to opt out businesses. I own a small business. I own a restaurant with less than 20 people, and I think that will help this type of businesses. Less than 20 people, 25, 15, this can hurt us, especially the weekends when we're busy. This can push away customers, and it's a big problem. And I hope in the future, maybe the trustees can save the staff, maybe do some research, and have the discussion again in the next few months. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, RG. Anybody else in the audience? Seeing, okay. All right. All right, now that you brought it up, what's the
Now
score?
that I've interrupted the Bears game. Bill Manganaro, I live in the Scarsdale neighborhood. I guess one thing for the record, I did not hear Commissioner Britton qualify his support for businesses being included in this ordinance, in the requirement in any way, shape, or form. Is that correct?
I support private employers being subject.
Thank you. I bring this up because I don't agree that the village should reopen this issue. I think it's the right thing to do, but I think there's also a very pragmatic reason. A week ago, the village approved a memorandum of understanding with the Bears to move that project forward, to give it a chance of moving forward. That will require a great deal of goodwill from the state to approve the pilot legislation. I don't think this is a really good time for the village to be doing anything to, I don't want to use the word antagonize, but to risk getting every bit of goodwill that we can possibly get at the state level, because we are going to want to make that much, much bigger deal work. Businesses have been living with this for more than a year. Mr. Karfotis, I would love to understand better and speak with you about the impact on your business, the dollar impact. I certainly am willing to talk to anyone about anything on this issue, but I really do think we should consider the perhaps larger issue of impacts that it could have on other business that the village would like to conduct. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Mr. Manganaro. Anybody else in the audience? Seeing none, let's come back to the board for further discussion or a motion. Trustee Tinaglia,
I'm prepared to make a motion.
please.
Okay. As it's written here, I'm going to move that we approve an ordinance opting school districts and park districts out of the Cook County paid leave ordinance.
Second.
Motion by trustee Tinaglia, seconded by trustee, who was it? I heard a bunch, it was trustee Bertucci. All right, trustee Bertucci. Any further questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, let's take a roll call on this.
Trustee Tinaglia?
Yes.
Trustee Bertucci?
Yes.
Trustee Shirley?
Yes.
Trustee Baldino?
Yes.
Trustee LaBedz?
Yes.
Trustee Schwingbeck?
Yes.
President Hayes?
Yes. Right, well, thank you all for your participation and comments here this evening and interest, and that shall be adopted here in the village, and so we appreciate everybody's participation. Any other business, Mr. Ecklaus?
Actually, a couple of quick things. One, I wanted to introduce and acknowledge our new Director of Planning and Community Development, Emily Rodden, is here for her first meeting, and so welcome to Emily. Second, there was a request, folks may have noticed in the news, there was an issue with communities and the quality of their drinking water on the short term, communities that were getting Lake Michigan water from the city of Chicago. And I just want to clarify that Arlington Heights does not get its water from the city of Chicago. We get our water from the city of Evanston through the Northwest Water Commission, and so we're unaffected by that news in case folks are wondering. And third, the last thing I was going to mention is that with the fire and explosion of the Groot garbage truck last Friday, or a week ago Friday, the fire department, the police department, myself, and Groot have been working together closely to look at the root causes of that incident. There'll be more information on that going out to the public, but we've been working very closely really to look at how such a situation could occur and what steps each entity could take to prevent situations like this from happening again in the future. Our fire department was just trained on these matters as recently, the entire fire department is this past February. And so it's something that we take very seriously. But we're looking at this because this was a very unique incident, and there'll be more to come to explain what our findings are.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ecklouse. Well, this is our last meeting of 2024, last meeting before the upcoming holidays, and so we just want to wish everyone in attendance and watching at home and all of our residents a very Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. Everybody be safe out there. And thank you all for joining us this evening. And lastly, what's the score?
10-0. 10-zip.
Still 10-zip. Okay, not too bad. All right. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Anything else from the
Mayor?
board? Trustee LaBedz said something.
I was going to move that we adjourn.
All right.
Second. Mayor?
Motion to,
Mayor,
wait,
can I
one
just
other
make
thing.
one more comment?
Okay.
So you had mentioned Happy Hanukkah. We've actually got, I believe on the 29th of December, over at North School Park, for all of our residents, if they'd like to come and celebrate the lighting of the menorah and celebrate Hanukkah.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, we have a motion by Trustee LaBedz, seconded by Trustee Tinaglia. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you all for joining us tonight. Scott, thank you.